Hi, Gareth Hollis again. Welcome back to Everything You Never Needed to Know About Me. And thank you for sticking with me so far. And not got much really left to talk about with this. Not that I've got written down anyway. Feel free to send suggestions if there's things you'd like me to talk about, and I'm quite happy to do some more of these. But this is everything that's come off the top of my head. So I actually had a look, and I've only got 2 subjects left. I deliberately haven't looked what they are because I want to be as surprised as you. It could turn out these are actually 2 quite short subjects, or maybe they're not. But so let's have a look. Random number generator, do your stuff. And number 15 is lyrics. It was after I'd done the Christmas songs, really, that's, well, I'm trying to work out where to go with this. Right, let's just start at the start. So, sorry. So unprofessional of me, this, but it wouldn't have been right if I'd tried to script this. So, lyrics, Losing My Insanity, that's the first song I wrote. I've already spoken about the whys of it. And how that came about. So did that one first, and Worm in Bleach was around about the same time. It was when I started learning the guitar, and which obviously didn't get continued, but it was about that time. I'd got one song, thought, all right, let's write another one, and then ended up having to, realising I couldn't really sustain trying to learn the guitar and work 3 jobs and try and get fit for the army. So knocked the guitar on the head and didn't write any more songs then after that. So then the next one, obviously there was the Christmas song that I did. That was when I was in the army, and some kind of variation then on Every Silver Lining Has a Cloud was written at the same time, and then pretty much did nothing with them for ages and ages and ages, and then the Goth's Christmas song I then ended up recording about 9 or 10 years later. And then when I had depression, then that's when I wrote Broken Brain and Anyone Else Who Isn't Me. They were my attempts to understand what was going on in my head. And I put those 2 on YouTube, and then I ended up putting Losing My Insanity and Worm in Bleach on YouTube as well. I thought, if I'm asking people to make music for those, then why not ask them to do it for the others as well? And then came the conversation at work about me not being hip or cool or street or down with the kids, which, yeah, I think I've just demonstrated I'm not. That's where that song came from. I wrote this, the ill-advised rap song, as I call it. But then kind of the floodgates opened a bit. I just started writing a few down. I think it was mostly when I've been on guard is, I keep saying this is where I kind of seem to find my creative spark, when I'm sat with nothing to do except, just watch telly or something. And it's probably programs I'm not interested in anyway. I'll just get out pen and paper and just start jotting ideas down, and maybe I get a rhyme and that leads me on to something else, or I start getting a tune in my head and just start building on it. But because lyrics is all I do. When I was younger, I attempted to learn recorder, and then obviously later on in life I attempted guitar, but with no particular sticking power to either for various reasons. So when I started writing these songs, I thought, well, I don't want them to just go to waste. I don't want them to just stay in my head. I couldn't afford to get music made from them like I've done with the Christmas songs. It's expensive, and with the Christmas songs, I saw it kind of as an investment, because I'm hoping that at some point I can do something with them and maybe get some radio play, and hopefully start trying to get them into being a bit more mainstream and getting played regularly. And maybe I'm dreaming on that. Who knows? But you've got to have a dream, because I think it's Annie said, if you don't have a dream, then how are you going to have a dream come true? And I'd like my dreams come true, so I'm going to have a dream. but I can't afford to just get music made willy-nilly at the sort of price it costs. I'm not made of money, and I appreciate that I've got these made actually very cheaply, but even then I can't afford just to do it for lots of other songs. So I thought, well, rather than go to waste, I'll put these songs on YouTube and ask for collaboration. My thinking behind it being that if any of these songs ever sort of reach success, then presumably I'd be entitled to some kind of percentage as being the person who wrote the lyrics originally, even if the lyrics have been slightly changed. I just thought there's loads and loads of cover bands out there. People are really good, really talented musicians, and they're stuck playing cover songs. And I thought, well, if you could pair their musical talent up with having lyrics that are already made, and they just need the music put in with them. If the bands have got the time to say, yeah, let's take these lyrics and make a song and something that we can sing that most people, like the very vast majority of people, won't have heard this song unless they happen to have checked out my YouTube channel, which is unlikely. I've not got that many people following me or subscribing or anything at the moment. And I think I've only had about 300 views on that playlist so far, with not that many songs coming out as a result of it. So, like, to my thinking, it doesn't matter. You could have like 100 people take the same song. It's just a set of lyrics. They could put it into any genre they like, any tune they like, whatever they feel comfortable with. And you could have 100 people take those lyrics and make 100 completely different songs. So, in a way, it's almost like it gives me the best chance, I think, of doing something with them, rather than forming my own band. And at the age of 37, with 2 kids and a full-time job, I'm never going to go touring. I'm not going to have the time to start going to practice and rehearsals and doing gigs and things. So why not pass it on to some young, ambitious band that's wanting to actually go somewhere and do these things, that wants to go on tour and fill out arenas and stuff. And I'd love to hear these songs be made into proper songs. In my head, like, some of these songs are amazing, and I'd really, really love to hear what they'd sound like with actual music, if they were made the way I hear them when I wrote the lyrics. But obviously, people will make them however they want to make them, however they're comfortable. So, like I say, the more people do it, the more chance of there being like a really, really amazing song come out of it. And if that song suddenly goes mainstream, then it'd be really good to hear that song suddenly on the radio and be able to say, yeah, I made that. Maybe I can do this. Maybe writing lyrics is something I'm okay at. And people who read my lyrics typically tend to say, that I'm good at it. But obviously, I'm aware that they might just be telling me what I want to hear. Let's face it, if someone gave me a set of lyrics and said, what do you think? I'm not going to turn around and say, the shit. That's, people are too polite. And I fully expect that there's probably some of that with me as well. So it'd be nice to feel validated, I suppose, and have someone make them into a song that does really well. So I've mentioned in the past about memory, with my depression, with antidepressants, with the loss of my mum, and I think memories being regressed or pushed back into dark corners of my mind. Unfortunately, this seems to be similar with music as well. So there's a lot of times I'll write a song as a set of lyrics, and I'll sit there and write it. I'm quite happy with the tune, and it's only later on I think, that sounds really familiar, that tune, and I can't place it, or I place it later on, or someone tells me, oh yeah, that's something up, that's that song. And when I wrote Happy Anniversary, and the guy in India who's writing it, he said, yeah, that's an Avril Lavigne song. You've kind of, well, not the whole song, but certainly the verses sounds like a lot like Complicated. Yes, I know I recognise it from somewhere. But then on the other hand, it's every song I've put on there so far that someone has made. I think it's every single one. They've changed the lyrics anyway. They've changed the tune anyway and made it something completely different. So I figured, what have we got to lose? Put them on there anyway, and they'll probably change the lyrics. So I'd rather have the sorry, they probably changed the tune, so I'd rather have the lyrics on there, and then at least they've got the chance of being made into a song. Right. So I'd say one of my probably, I don't know if fan's the right word, but someone who has done probably getting on for about 10 songs, I reckon, maybe even more. Like songs of mine, who's gone onto my lyrics only playlist and has gone and made them into a song of his own, is a guy in Croatia called Dubork. And it's needless to say they are completely different to how I imagine them. I don't know if that's his own personal style, or if that's like how music is in Croatia, but they end up being completely different, like completely reimagined tunes to anything I would have come up with. Some work better than others in my head, but the beauty of music is it's very subjective. So like some people would probably think that's amazing and like much better than the tune I had for them, and other people would maybe think differently, and those people are obviously welcome to make the music themselves and use those lyrics and do what they want to do with them. Let's share the love. Let's have hundreds and hundreds of different versions of these songs. At the moment, no one's really checking them out. If I suddenly find fame and fortune through like another, maybe the Christmas songs or Happy Anniversary, then I imagine that suddenly I'm more interesting to people. Maybe then people will start noticing those playlists more, and maybe people will then start thinking, that'd make a good song, let's do that. But in sort of trying to find people to actually take notice, and in attempt to kind of validate myself, I suppose, I've sent a couple of songs off to a songwriting competition. I think I've mentioned this before. So I sent off Ho 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 It's Christmas Time as a Christmas song, and then they've also got a lyrics only section, and I thought that's ideal for me because that's all I can do. So I put the feelers out a little bit. Sorry, there's hay fever or whatever it is really winding me up now. So I asked on a few groups. I started with 30 songs, I think, on the playlist. I went through them. I narrowed it down to 8. Because the problem is, obviously, some of them, as a song, they're probably fine. But when you're just reading the lyrics, I wanted it to be the best I'd got, really. And that's difficult because when I read them, I'm also hearing them in the tune I've done, and some tunes are better than others, and therefore it's difficult to be impartial. And so I thought, since they're only going to be judged purely on someone reading the lyrics and not having a tune, then I needed people who didn't know the tunes to then get back to me. So I reached out on a couple of Facebook groups and on Drupal, which is a musician's site, and got a bit of feedback on which out of those 8 I should go for. And the results were pretty inconclusive, in all honesty, which could either mean that none of my lyrics are that good, or that actually they're all, any one of them would make a good song and they couldn't choose between them. So I whittled it down further just on my own and got it down to 3. And when I put those 3 out, there was a more clear winner there, which was Fingers Intertwined, which is a song that in my head would be like a Bon Jovi kind of style to it. Mr. Bon Jovi, if you're watching this, feel free to make it into a song. I'm sure you do much better than I could do with it. I'd love to hear it. And that's a song that actually, I suppose, has got more feeling because I wrote it from the point of view of my dad losing my mum, and probably try to imagine some of the feelings he's gone through. Sorry. So I'm very new to hay fever, if that's what this is. I'm in a caravan on my driveway, and there's a tree right next to the caravan, and the wind's quite strong today. I hope it's hay fever. I don't, because I've never had hay fever before, and I don't really want it. But I don't know what else it could be. I mentioned Happy Anniversary. That's one that there was a guy. He was asking about collaboration, and I gave him this, and he actually wanted to make it into a song for me, and that I'd be paying for it. And I'd own the rights to it, and I thought actually at the price you're offering, which was it's a very cheap price. Like with the COVID-19 thing going on, he's just trying to keep himself, keep plodding along at the moment, try and keep a bit of money coming in. So he offered me a good price, and I thought, okay, on that price, let's make this song, because I'll pay that a little bit to start with, and knowing then that I own 100% of it, because let's face it, happy anniversary, people are having anniversaries every day. Yes, the Christmas songs, Christmas is going to be annual, it's going to be there every year, and if I can get onto that, then they'll be played every year. But potentially happy anniversary, if people like that and they're ringing the radio stations and requesting this song all the time, people have anniversaries every day, that's probably going to stick in people's minds more than a song they're only hearing like 1 month of the year. So it might give me a better chance of success. So from a commercial point of view, I thought, okay, that's worth investing in. Because if I don't believe in myself, then who else is going to believe in me? It's not like I'm chasing a record deal or anything like that. But I do want people to listen to my music, even if I don't make money from it. Then it's nice to feel validated, to feel that people like it, and if people like it enough that it's played on the radio, then that'd be amazing. So I think that's lyrics done pretty much. So I'd look at the random number generator, but I've only actually got one topic left. So that is number 13. Music. Not my music, just music in general. So talking about music then, I grew up at a time in the UK where Britpop was a big thing. So bands like Blur, Oasis, Pulp, Manic Street Preachers. Manic Street Preachers. I don't know if they're actually classed as Britpop, but they're amazing. So bands like that were all over the radio. The music I got into, therefore, as a result, was music like that, and the music that my parents were listening to. And I'm lucky in some respects that their musical tastes weren't too bad. I mean, some of it's not so good. So there were things like, in fact, no, that wouldn't be right to start dissing other artists, especially ones that have made it, for me to say that it just wasn't to my taste, put it that way. It just didn't do anything for me. But then they had other music, so Meatloaf, Queen, Cher, things like that were like what I grew up with, really. And like Michael Jackson, Elton John. So I had a good musical upbringing in that respect. Some very good bands amongst them. Amongst what was in my parents' CD collection. And yet, despite all that, the first single I ever bought was Spice Girls, Wannabe. And I was actually at the tender age of about, I'm trying to think now, 11, 12 maybe. I was in the Spice Girls fan club, and I used to get a magazine. I think it was 4 times a year with various bits and pieces in it. And I did end up buying pretty much all of the Spice Girls songs. That's how cool I am. I think I'm going to move on for that bit, actually. Anyway, when I was about 15, when I was 15, we moved to Horncastle, and I was doing my homework one night, sat in my bedroom, just laying on my bedroom floor. I had the radio on, Radio 1, I think, some kind of rock show. And I heard this song for the first time, and it pretty much changed my whole music, my musical influence, like in a heartbeat. So that was The Offspring's Pretty Fly for a White Guy, which I know a lot of people would say not the best song in the world. It's not lyrical genius or anything like that. But for me, I heard it, I thought, this is amazing. It's it had everything, like all the guitars and the drums and like the whole shoutiness, and like I mentioned it to some people at school, and it kind of opened up a whole new friend group to me. And suddenly then they were introducing me to bands that they liked. They were getting me to listen to. They were lending me CDs, and suddenly I finding out about bands like Rammstein and Green Day and Limp Bizkit, like before they were like mainstream. Korn, Nirvana, Linkin Park, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Slipknot, Machine Head, loads of stuff. And then to the point where like 1 Minute Silence, all the 1 Minute Silence CDs, and then going down to Nottingham, Rock City in Nottingham, which is a big sort of musical place. Actually, I'm trying to think what you call it. It's not like a stadium or anything. It's just almost like a bar. But went to see 1 Minute Silence there. That was the first gig I ever went to, and they smashed it. Amazing. I went on to become a big fan of them then. Bought loads of the merchandise, etc. And it's a band actually I'd love to see again at some point. I don't even know if they're still together anymore actually. I suppose you kind of move on a bit with music. I still love. I'm not really into that style of music as such anymore, but that music specifically, I'd quite happily go and listen to the albums I had back then. I suppose it's like a nostalgia thing, and I still love listening to it. And like The Offspring will probably always be my favourite band. And there's like Bowling for Soup, Weezer, Blink-182, Linkin Park, all these that came sort of a little bit after that. That I kind of got into as a result of these other musical influences. Started watching Kerrang, for example, which is a channel I'd never even heard of. But when I moved to Leicester, like up from Torquay, and living with my grandparents, my grandparents had Sky, which we didn't, but they had it because my granddad was really into sport. But then when he wasn't using the TV, then that would be me on the sofa, Kerrang, listening to all this amazing music and just loving it. And I said about The Offspring, that was my first gig I went to. I also said about like in a previous episode, I've got an Offspring tattoo on my shoulder. That's how much I love them. And in fact, the day before I went to The Offspring, I was actually meant to go to another gig as well. In fact, it was either the day before or the day after. I can't remember now. We're talking, I don't even want to know how many years ago actually. 15, 20 years ago now, maybe. No, it can't have been 20. 15 years ago. Let's go 15. That still makes me feel old. So, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes were meant to be playing again at Rock City in Nottingham. Unfortunately, they had to pull out due to illness, which I was a bit gutted about. It would have been great to have done 2 gigs in 2 days. Because I've not been to many gigs. Unfortunately, it's just logistics and money just aren't there for me at the moment. I have been to like One Big Sunday or One Big Weekend that Radio 1 used to do. I don't know if they still do it. To be fair, I've not really listened to Radio 1 for quite a long time since Chris Moyles left. I kind of, when he went to Radio X, I went to Radio X as well. Purely for Chris Moyles, he makes me laugh. Normally you listen to the radio and you think, oh, just stop talking, play a record. And when it's the Chris Moyles show, it's like, oh, don't play any music, just keep talking. I'm enjoying this too much. Just making me laugh. And I know he's got a lot of haters, but I don't know. There's something about him that it just keeps me laughing. And I suppose I've grown up with him now. I've been listening to him for God, that's got to be 15, 20 years now. That it's been on Radio 1. He used to do the afternoon show, then he went to the breakfast show, and then he left for a few years and went to Radio X. I imagine it's got to be 15, 20 years I've been listening to him. Kind of growing up with him, I suppose. So, One Big Sunday, unfortunately, the memory again. I did this a few times, at least 3 times I think I went down to Leicester for One Big Sunday, and I saw people like Kylie Minogue, Craig David, and they're the only 2 I've got written down that I can actually remember, unfortunately. I know there was plenty of others I saw, and I just can't remember them anymore. Went to Reading Festival 1 year, probably about 2000 and 2003. It was when I was living in Hull, and a friend of mine who I'd worked at the patisserie with, she gave me a ring and she's like if we paid for your ticket, would you drive us down to Reading Festival? It was just for the day, not for the weekend, because the tickets there are like quite expensive. And stay in our tents, etc. And because like they didn't really have many people who drove in their friend group, so I got to go down there for free, and that was really good. I got to see bands there like Blink 182, Electric Six, Less Than Jake. It was pretty much a new exposure to me, actually. Less Than Jake, I hadn't really heard of them before that, and they were really good. Linkin Park, they were the last band on, so I think that's called headlining. But I mean, if not, they stole it for me completely. I didn't really know Linkin Park as well as like Blink 182 who played before them, but yeah, if that was the first time I'd heard them, I think I'd have been a convert. They were really good, I thought. And then little added bonus to that. So I was sort of stood there like watching them, and then there was a girl came by, and she just sort of quite drunk, and decided, actually, no, this is where I'm going to sit down, and ended up just chatting to her for ages and ages, like during the interval and afterwards, and just got on really well with her. And then the next morning, like after we parted ways, next morning woke up, turned my phone on, which unfortunately I'd had to turn my phone off because the battery was low. Turned my phone back on the next morning, about 10 messages like from her, like trying to tell me how to find a tent. And that was nice. I did meet up with her again the next day, and we had a good catch up, and it just gutted that I missed the night before as well, really. So fun memories of that particular gig. Other musical influences, in fact I've already mentioned these in other episodes. So I lived a few doors down from a pub, and it was a pub that did a fair bit of live music. So the landlord, landlady, their 3 daughters were in a band. They'd come across, they were English, but they'd been living in Australia, and then they came back here and like established themselves as a girl band, playing their own songs, playing cover songs. They're called the Alma Boobies. In fact, you might have noticed I've been wearing an Alma Boobies t-shirt for some of these episodes. Not playing anymore, but really good sort of rock music that they used to play. And also Kid Clumsy was another band I discovered through that particular pub. In fact, I think they're playing in like Japan or something at the moment. I'm sure last time I spoke to them, because I actually contacted them about one of my songs called The Weeble, purely because one of their band members is called Weeb, short for Weeble. Big guy, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. So that's where his name came from, and that was kind of what the song was about. And I thought, you know what? And it was like, in my head, it was like a pop punky kind of song. I thought this would be perfect for them. So I contacted them, and I think at the time they said they were touring somewhere abroad. I've got Japan in my head. I can't remember now, but it turns out they were actually from right near my hometown, like literally a few miles from where I grew up. And their local pub, I used to cycle past it to get to Army Cadet. So I mean, that's how close they were. And they went on. They were meant to be playing our wedding, but unfortunately, circumstances meant that wasn't the case. But yeah, another really good band, especially with like they don't just get up and play a song. They'll get up and tell the story behind the song, and then because they describe themselves as like punk rock with humour in their advertising, and the songs become a lot funnier when you actually know the backstory behind them. For example, my memories let me down again, but I'm pretty sure it was Alistair, one of the guys in the band, who one of the songs was about him and a girl he met one night, who actually turned out not to be a girl. And the song, I think, was called Mr. Wiggle. Mr. Wiggle being a certain part of anatomy that a girl wouldn't have had. But yeah, just simple things like that. I mean, I suppose, yeah, I've got a childish sense of humour anyway, so stuff like that appeals to me more anyway. We've got oh, so on my list, I say Losing My Insanity. I've mentioned that a few times. So I gave that to one of the band members of the Alma Boobies, and she liked it enough that she thought that she said she'd teach me to play guitar. I mean, like, talk about like integrating with your fans and stuff like that. I mean, simple things like that. You're bound to become a super fan, aren't you? So yeah, and they're a great band anyway, and it's such a shame now that they're not playing anymore. But unfortunately, that's arthritis rather than choice. I'm sure they'd love to still be playing as well. And yeah, I always thought that they'd make it big, and disappointed they never kind of found that fame that I think they deserved. So the other thing I've got written down here, I think this is the last thing on this whole like notepad of stuff that I had to talk about in these episodes. So I apologise that this video's gone on a bit long, but it didn't seem worth splitting into 2 videos. Although now it's gone on for half an hour, maybe it might have been. So it talks about the Offspring, and actually there was a song of theirs called "Cruisin California," bumping in my trunk, and like I listened to it, I thought I could kind of make alternate lyrics to this. I'm hearing like different things in this, so I end up writing a Christmas song to the tune of that song. Like if you're listening to this and you fancy turning this into a song and having it as part of your repertoire, like Dexter, Noodles, yeah, if you fancy like turning this and having a Christmas song of your own, it's still a shouty punk song. Let me know. I'll send you the lyrics. In fact, I might even put them on YouTube at some point anyway. I was hoping to find a karaoke version of it, but there isn't one. And it's actually quite a difficult song to sing. The Offspring seem to sing in a key that doesn't exist. And then, yeah, added to that, it's not a one-person song. So we'll see. I might put it on YouTube anyway. I think it could be an interesting Christmas song. It'd certainly be different to most Christmas songs out there. And as far as I'm aware, the Offspring do not have a Christmas song currently. So, yeah, this could be something for you. Anyway, sorry. So that is me done. Wipe my hands, and unless you have any burning questions of your own, I'm quite happy to do another one of these and just answer questions that you've got. But yeah, if this is it, then this is it. And I thank you for tuning in, making it through. I don't even know how many episodes. It must be about 20 episodes now. It's certainly a lot more than I was expecting. I thought it was only going to be, maybe 2 or 3 initially, and significantly shorter as well. So if you've made it this far, congratulations, you've made it to the end. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I will obviously be posting more things in the future, as and when I know more, like when I've got Happy Anniversary and the sort of the B and the C side of that song made. They'll be going on uploaded to YouTube, potentially looking at maybe crowdfunding for that. So I'll be trying to put that out a bit. I'll be also doing my Christmas songs at some point, hopefully before Christmas, but we'll see how isolation goes for that, because I'm just waiting on getting into the recording studio. So when they're done, they'll obviously go on YouTube. And I'll also be making a video about the van when I get that back and that's all finished. So if that sounds particularly interesting to you, then the zombie van will be getting its own video at some point. And I'll also be making a video once I've released the Christmas song, once I've released the Happy Anniversary song, and I've gone through all the like the release stuff of that, like trying to think of it through as a marketer or a businessman rather than as a musician. I'll be making a video saying like what worked and what didn't work. So I mean that could help other people in the future, because I can't imagine everything I do is going to work, but we'll see. It might do. I've just had sorry, I know my eyes went right there. That was a notification on my phone saying my battery's about to die. So I'm glad this is the last one. But hopefully you'll see me again. Hopefully we're now friends. I know I don't make a great first impression, but if you've watched this, then you've probably been watching me for a good 4 hours, I think. If you've watched every video. I'm going to add it up at some point, but I imagine it's got to be at least 4 hours, and I was expecting it to be maybe half an hour, 45 minutes for the whole thing. It turns out, like when I say about, like everyone thinks their life is boring, and to them it is boring probably, but to other people, maybe not so. And it turns out that if you start talking, you can actually maybe have quite a lot to say. So if you've stuck with me this far, thank you very much. And if you're here because you like my music, then I really appreciate that. And there are so many people out there, like unknown musicians, aspiring musicians, who are really, really good, who really deserve attention. So if you've chosen me to listen to, then I'm so overwhelmed and grateful for that, because without support of other people, yeah, you can't make it in the music industry. You really can't these days. Even if you wanted to get signed by a record label, you're probably not going to manage to do that unless you've already managed to get yourself a fan base. That's hard enough for actual musicians. For me, not young, not pretty, don't play an instrument, not a great singer, and if despite all of that you've chosen me, then yeah, how could I not be grateful? So hopefully this is not the end of our journey together, and you'll see me more as I try and actually make it in the music industry. And please like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and we'll continue this journey together. And don't copy me just yet. Like I said in previous videos, do not follow me, because I'm probably lost and I don't really know where I'm going, but there is a plan. I normally don't like to make plans, because if there is no plan, then therefore, yeah, nothing technically can go wrong, because you can't go off plan if there is no plan. But I have a plan. I plan to follow it, and we'll see where it takes me, and hopefully it will lead to success, and it will lead to another video saying how great everything I did worked and how you can therefore follow that. But I imagine there'll be a lot of lessons learned as well. So like Thomas Edison said, like he didn't fail like 100 times making the light bulb. He just learned 99 ways to not make a light bulb. And that learning process is important. If he'd just gone straight in and got it right first time, he probably wouldn't have understood why it worked the way it did. And so with the music industry, if everything I do works, that'd be amazing. But maybe then I wouldn't be able to replicate it, because I didn't know exactly the bits that weren't so successful. Anyway, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm waffling now. Thank you for sticking with me. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you again sometime soon. Fingers crossed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye. Oh, God, that hasn't turned off.